Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Clinton Victory Election Series. Let's take a look at President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of January 2018. This is a new year, and she starts off the new year with a minus 22% disapproval. This is a terrible sign for her as the midterm elections are starting to come to us right now, as she has a 96% disapproval from the Republican Party, a 62% approval from her own party, which is actually not that good, considering politicians usually have at least the low 70s at the least. But this is terrible news for her, mostly due to the ongoing threats with North Korea. She has a negative 34% from the third parties, of course, including independents, which is terrible as those are key voting blocks for the Democrat and Republican parties. Hillary Clinton once again speaks to Kim Jong-un. She says, "I will not back down," as he continues his threats of using nuclear weapons against the United States. Hillary continuing her aggressive campaign against the North Korean Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. Conflict with North Korea almost goes nuclear with false alarm in Hawaii. There was an emergency alert that a ballistic missile threat was inbound towards Hawaii from North Korea. However, this turned out to be a false alarm as President Clinton was just about to push the button. However, some of her advisors finally got her to calm down, told her it was a false alarm, and thus we avoided any sort of conflict with North Korea. Senate GOP has blocked a bill from preventing a government shutdown as her budget hasn't been able to pass yet. Thus, we are going into a government shutdown temporarily until we can get a budget passed. This is terrible news for Hillary Clinton as her approval will continue to drop. President Clinton has given her 2018 State of the Union address, and by the seams of it, it is widely approved of by Americans. 62% of Americans approve of her address. 25% do disapprove of her address, and 13% of Americans are unsure whether they approve of it or not. And here is President Clinton's approval ratings. Her approvals have starting to take a huge dip back up. However, she is still underwater with a 6% disapproval. Her support amongst the Republicans is an 84% disapproval. She has gone back up with the Democrat Party amongst normal levels at 86% approval. However, her third-party approval is still in the negatives, 22% disapproval. Terrible news for Hillary, as she makes up a 6% disapproval nationwide. President Clinton imposes sanctions on North Korea. This is the continuing campaign against, kind of a cold conflict between North Korea, as she has imposed sanctions on trade with the country. Here's President Clinton's approval ratings. Her approval is starting to go back up with the sanctions against North Korea, despite the fear of war. Right now, she has a disapproval amongst the Republican Party at 78% disapproval. Her support amongst the Democrats is at 94% approval, and her third-party approval still underwater at 16% disapproval. President Clinton has rejected an invite to meet Kim Jong-un in South Korea. The South Korean president had tried to reach out to both leaders, and Hillary Clinton had rejected the invite. However, Kim Jong-un accepted the invite, which may or may not say something about President Clinton. We now have an election result out of the Pennsylvania 8th special election. Kim Ward has won this House seat, keeping it red, a massive landslide victory for the Republicans. This is a Republican stronghold, of course, defeating Connor Lamb. Kenneth Kaiser has resigned from the Veterans Affairs Secretary position. This comes to his old age, as he's saying he's wanting to retire from government, and President Clinton has announced that the Veterans Affairs Deputy Secretary, Brad Carson, will succeed him to become the Veterans Affairs Secretary. Secretary Michael Bloomberg resigns from the Secretary of State post. This is coming out from scandals about his past amongst the women, and many people have been calling for his resignation. President Clinton had told him to resign, and that is exactly what he has done. He has resigned. And President Clinton has tapped the current CIA Director Dan Glickman to replace him as Secretary of State. She has also named the Deputy CIA Director David Cohen to become the CIA Director. Here's President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of April. She has an 82% disapproval amongst the Republican Party, nothing too surprising here. She has a 90% approval amongst Democrats. She is still underwater with third-party supporters, with a 20% disapproval. This gives her a nationwide approval of 4% disapproval, which is still bad for her, as the midterms are still coming along. She needs as much approval as she can get to prevent a massive loss in the midterms. It is now May. We can now say that her approval has continued to go downward, as she has an 86% disapproval amongst Republicans, 86% approval amongst Democrats, and her third-party support is continuing to drop, as she has a 24% disapproval amongst third-party supporters, and that gives her a total of a nationwide disapproval of 8%. Again, this is terrible for her presidency, her administration. The Senate has confirmed Dan Glickman to become the Secretary of State. As you can see, 51 senators voted to confirm him. As you can see on this map right here, both Kansas senators voted to confirm. And the Senate also confirms David Cohen as the CIA director. As you can see on this map here, very divided vote here, as Lisa Murkowski was the only Republican to vote to confirm him, which may say something about the Republican leadership, as they are starting to not be happy with Murkowski. But Vice President Tim Kaine did give the tie-breaking vote. David Cohen has been confirmed as the CIA director. Here's President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of June, as she has a 90% disapproval amongst the Republican Party. She has an 82% approval amongst Democrats. Her third-party support is still waning, as she has a 28% disapproval. Third-party supporters never really liked Hillary. This gives her a nationwide disapproval of 12%. In the United States, North Korea tensions are continuing to grow, as Hillary Clinton, as Kim Jong-un has threatened to, as he states, "I've tried to meet with you to get our tensions passed, but no, I want these sanctions dropped, and I want them dropped now." Hillary Clinton said, "You're going to have to make me drop them," which only continues to grow the tensions between the two countries, as many Americans feel like a war is starting to come forward. Here's President Clinton's approval ratings right now. The war is starting, the upcoming war, as many Americans are feeling, as is starting to hurt her approval even more, as she has a 94% disapproval amongst Republicans, a 78% approval amongst Democrats, and her third-party support is starting to drop even more, as she has a 32% disapproval amongst them, giving her a nationwide disapproval of 16%. This is terrible. She's starting to get back to her beginning of the year approval numbers, which is terrible. President Clinton enacts tariffs on China, which sparks a trade war, which actually is very popular among some Americans, mostly Americans who like protectionist trade. The Tea Party Republicans, the Trump Republicans, most Democrats, and some independents, which could give her a boost in her approval. Drew Edmondson resigns from the EPA post, announces his retirement from politics. And Hillary Clinton has tapped the Deputy Administrator to the EPA, Janet McCabe, to lead the EPA. The Senate has confirmed Brad Carson as the Veterans Affairs Secretary. As you can see here, 52 senators voted to confirm both Arizona senators, John Kill and John McCain. Justice Kennedy has announced his retirement from the Supreme Court. This is a massive blow to the Republicans, as the Democrats currently have a 5-6 or a 5-4 majority in the Supreme Court, and if Clinton could get another justice, which there is no reason why she can't, Republicans really have no reason to block it unless they want to take losses in the midterms, it would give Democrats a 6-3 majority. Here is President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of August. She has an 84% disapproval amongst Republicans, a 94% approval amongst Democrats, an 18% disapproval amongst the third-party supporters, giving her a -2% disapproval nationwide. This might come from the excitement of her nominating a new Supreme Court justice, which may be boosting her amongst Democrats and third-party supporters. However, not so much Republicans. President Clinton to enact tariffs on Iran. She is sparking a world trade war, essentially is what she calls it, which is popular in America, not so much popular across other countries. We can also announce that President Clinton has nominated Chief Judge Sri Srinivasan to the Supreme Court. He will be the first native Indian and first Indian American to become a Supreme Court justice, which would be historic. Janet McCabe has been confirmed by the Senate to lead the EPA by a vote of 56 to 44. We have several Republicans, Susan Collins, Lindsey Graham, Tim Scott, John Kill, John McCain, Dean Heller, as well as Lisa Murkowski, all voting to confirm McCabe as the EPA administrator. Here is President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of September. As you can see, she has a 70% disapproval amongst Republicans, a 96% approval amongst Democrats, and a 2% disapproval amongst third parties. However, for the first time since, the beginning of her administration, she has a +6 approval rating nationwide. This is good news as the midterms are starting to come up, which will help the Democrats take less losses in the midterms. President Clinton has finally signed the $4.8 trillion budget. This is the biggest budget in the country's history. $4.8 trillion. As many Republicans said, whoa, no, we can't sign this. However, the Republicans finally caved. Mitch McConnell and the other establishment Republicans finally caved, and they passed it. And the $4.8 trillion budget for the 2019 fiscal year has finally passed. Here's President Clinton's approval ratings for the month of October. She has a 74% disapproval amongst Republicans, a 92% approval amongst Democrats, 6% disapproval amongst third parties, giving her a +2% approval nationwide. Passing a budget didn't really seem to do much for her approval rating as many would have hoped. So she has to find out another way to gain more approval to help out the Democrats in the midterms. Senate has confirmed Sri Srinivasan to the Supreme Court after a tough nomination process this year. Throughout the year, Senator Srinivasan will become the first Native Indian American to become a justice on the Supreme Court, which is huge news. 52 senators voted to confirm, and those 2 Republicans that helped vote, or actually 3 Republicans, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Dean Heller, all helped vote for Srinivasan to the Supreme Court. Immigrants are now flooding the U.S.-Mexico border. We are now witnessing a huge border crisis right now. Hillary Clinton has yet to say anything about this right now, and we don't know if she will. This is terrible for the country, as immigrants are now trying to flood the border right now. President Clinton has deployed the U.S. military to the U.S.-Mexico border to try to get things settled down. This is a terrible look right now for the country, as we have multiple immigrants from across the country flooding the U.S.-Mexico border. This is awful. Here is President Clinton's approval ratings at the beginning of November, just days before the midterm election. She has a 96% disapproval amongst Republicans, a 72% approval amongst Democrats, a 24% disapproval amongst third party. This is terrible. I think that's the lowest her approval amongst that group has been, giving her a 16% disapproval amongst the country. I guess the border crisis was the October surprise, and this has just killed the Democrats' chances at making gains in the midterms. And we have news that Attorney General Terry Sewell will resign from her post as Attorney General, citing issues with the administration over the border crisis. And President Clinton has nominated former Attorney General Loretta Lynch as the Attorney General. Ambassador Jim Hodges has resigned from his UN post. The former governor of South Carolina has announced his sudden resignation, probably due to his old age, stating that he's old enough to know when to hang the gloves up. And President Clinton, of course, giving a pat on the back during the resignation. And she has nominated the current ambassador to Canada, Arnold Chaikin, to become the next UN ambassador, which, many Republicans had said, yeah, we'll vote for it. Here is President Clinton's approval rating at the beginning of December, the ongoing border crisis. President Clinton has a 96% disapproval amongst Republicans, 68% approval amongst Democrats, a 28% disapproval amongst third parties, giving her a nationwide disapproval of 20%. With the ongoing border crisis, losses in the midterms, terrible news for the Clinton administration. U.S. ends military assistance to Saudi Arabia and Yemen. This was a bipartisan effort by the Senate. However, President Clinton wanted there to continue military assistance in Saudi Arabia or in Yemen. However, everyone said no, or most everybody. Here is the vote right now: 54 A's and 46 nays. Here is the map, a very convoluted map right here. The Senate has confirmed Loretta Lynch as the Attorney General. Pretty much a vote needed to happen before the upcoming new Congress came in in early January. Here's the vote: 54 Republicans voted for her. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, John McCain, and John Kill, as well as Bob Corker, all voted for her. And I keep saying 54 Republicans, I meant 54 senators. The Senate has also confirmed Arnold Chaikin for the UN ambassadorship, as a vote of 62 different senators voted for him. Pretty much a bipartisan approval for Arnold Chaikin to become the UN ambassador. Thank you guys so much for Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Chaotic One. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go follow my Twitter at Chaotic Politics. The next episode in this series will be the midterm election, so I hope you enjoyed that. Again, this is the Chaotic One saying peace.